Absolutely nobody. LeBron James announces he will return to play for the Lakers next year. USC, not UCLA, looks to be the dominant team in next year's NBA draft. And speaking of the Trojans, they mourn a fullback with one hell of a story. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is July 13th, 2023. I am back in the den of unhappiness, the den of profound sadness, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we are going to lift our spirits by talking about the glory of LA sports. If you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. There's always good stuff to talk about in LA. Before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. LAFC, they kind of righted the ship a little bit last night. It took a little bit of time, but Carlos Vela scored, and the black and gold defeated St. Louis 3-0. LAFC snapped a 3-game MLS losing streak in the process. Speaking of losing streaks, the Sparks just can't let go of theirs. They fall to Las Vegas 97-78. It is now the WNBA All-Star break. The Sparks are halfway through the year. They're 6 games below 500 on a 6-game losing streak. Meanwhile, today, nothing. Not a game at all. That's all right. So, confirming what we had already assumed, LeBron James said he would return for a 21st NBA season last night. He said so at the ESPYS. And if you're trying to make a big audience for something, I don't know if the ESPYS is a place where you need to go. I mean, I don't want to make too big of a thing out of this. And what I'm about to say is extremely cruel. So if you're offended, forgive me. But if you're going to make news at the ESPYS is where you go when you're about to die. The 3 most memorable moments in ESPYS history are from people who were about to pass away. I'm sorry, don't kill the messenger. It happened. Jim Valvano, Stuart Scott, Craig Sager, 3 people, by the way, that everybody loved. So don't get me wrong, I'm not overjoyed that they passed away. But the ESPYS is not where you go to get uplifting sports announcements. It never has been, ever. So the NBA's all-time leading scorer, I don't want to spend a lot of time on LeBron today. And it's not even out of hatred of LeBron, because I don't hate LeBron. This was a fait accompli. We already knew, despite the hemming and hawing, we knew LeBron James was going to come back. The NBA's all-time scoring leader said so that he was coming back. He got some award that I don't even remember the name of it. His kids are probably going to use it as a mallet in the back when they're hammering things around. James had pondered his retirement when the Lakers were eliminated by Denver in the playoffs, but his stated goal all along was to play basketball alongside his son Bronny, who was about to begin his college career over at USC. And let's be real, that would have been a fat stack of cash that LeBron James would have been walking away from. So all signs pointed to him coming back. Also with the fact that the Lakers have a pretty decent team coming back. Nobody really thought LeBron James was retiring. LeBron James is not retiring. He is coming back to the Lakers next year. The other day we chatted up how USC, not UCLA, will be represented in the NBA draft next year, or I should say the lottery portion of the NBA draft. CBS Sports backs up that assertion. They released a 2024 mock draft with guard Isaiah Collier going 3rd. And Bronny James, by the way, going 13th. So it is possible that 2 Trojans, 2 of them, not just Collier, could go in the lottery. Now, which teams in this mock draft? Who cares? There's too many variables involved. Who's going to tank? Where the ping pong balls be a-bouncing when the season ends? Who cares? They also believe, by the way, in mentioning this mock draft, they also said that the Trojans are going to be a fascinating team to watch because Collier is a traditional point guard looking to pass first. And James, one of his main attributes is he's unselfish with the basketball, much like his father, frankly. So there's going to be a lot of motion, a lot of variance with what USC does on the court this year. Now, to be fair, although not a lottery pick, it's not like the cupboard is completely bare for UCLA in terms of NBA prospects. CBS believes that UCLA's big man, Bona, will be a first-round pick because of his defensive capabilities. C.R. Roberts, a fullback. And I love Trojans football. Honestly, I'd never heard of the man before. And by the way, yes, there was a time in football where there was such a position known as fullback. He had died recently at the age of 87 of natural causes out in a care facility in Norwalk. He is one of those stories that you have to look up in order to find out what an amazing tenure he had over USC. How even the subtle Trojans underneath the main surface, the Heisman Trophy winners and the guys who led the team to national titles. He's one of those stories you have to look up, and it's still a tremendous one. Back in 1956, the Trojans played in Texas, which was segregated then. Roberts, a black man, rushed for 251 yards in USC's 44-20 victory against the Longhorns. Here's what it was like back then for this man. SC had to find 3 hotels in Austin before they could find one that would say, okay, we'll allow black people in. The people who worked there, also black by the way, advised the players not to stay. But Roberts, that only made him even angrier than he was, right? Quote, I was upset that they didn't want me down there. Damn right I had something to prove to them, unquote. Now, that night, he said, maybe every black person in town must have come by to see us. They were just so proud to see us in that hotel, unquote. Roberts carried the ball only 12 times to get the 251 yards. Why did he carry the ball only 12 times? The coaches pulled him. He was whooping so much ass that the coaching staff was in fear that there would be a race riot by the end of the game. Now, I've said this a lot of times. I am not a social justice warrior, but I do believe in fair play for all, right? You got to respect that man. You got to respect that man for the impact that he had, not just on Trojans football, but frankly, if people are going to disrespect you on that, yeah, you kind of have it. He should be smacking them down on the football field. So rest in peace, Mr. Roberts. Rest in peace. You absolutely have my respect. The Dodgers have acquired pitcher Tyson Miller from Milwaukee for cash. LA has also, as a result, put injured relief pitcher Daniel Hudson on the 60-day injured list. He has a right knee sprain. Miller is coming in. He is another project for Dodgers coaches. He is not going to be a solution for the Dodgers bullpen at this time. Miller has a career ERA of 7.92. Also, ESPN ran through every Dodgers draft pick. At least they had a list. They reviewed some of them. They kind of stopped at the 5th round pick. But they had some notes on some that I wanted to at least give you an idea of what is coming into the vaunted Dodgers minor league system. For example, outfielder Dylan Campbell of Texas. He's a former infielder. Once Texas moved him to the outfield, he had a breakout year. Florida State pitcher Wyatt Crowell has already had Tommy John surgery, so he'll fit in with the Dodger staff quite well. There's also Brady Smith, a high schooler from Tennessee, who is said to be kind of skinny, but with good stuff, whatever the hell good stuff is. And third baseman Jake Geloff of Virginia. He was taken in the 2nd round. He is noted for having, quote, tremendous raw power. But how will that translate when he finally faces professional level pitching? I'm wearing my USA kit today. I am aware that the Americans were eliminated from CONCACAF Gold Cup last night in penalty kicks by Panama. But did you notice something? All up until last night, the Americans' defense was anchored by Galaxy center back Jalen Neal. Neal did not play last night. Voila, the team gets eliminated. Opponents did not score against the Americans while Neal was on the pitch. Now, he wasn't on the pitch last night with an injured groin, and we don't know the severity of the injury yet. The news hasn't been put online. But as longtime viewers do know, we at Faithful Angeleno Sports have a very strong do not discuss men's groins in detail policy here on the channel. We're not going to speculate about men's groins. We're not going there. We're going to wait for the official announcements. The LA Kings had a controversial offseason. I don't deny that. Yes, they kept defenseman Vladislav Gavrikov. They added forward Pierre-Luc Dubois, but damn, they lost a lot. I acknowledge that. Gabriel Velarde, Eunice Corpusalo, Alex Iafallo, Sean Durzi, the list went on. They were trying to fit in a couple of elite players. They were totally up against the cap. They had to get rid of people. So if you're a fan, you're sitting there going, damn, I get it, but that's really painful. So maybe you give it a meh kind of grade, mid, C. ESPN doesn't think so. They gave Rob Blake an A grade. Now, they recognize, as we all do, that goaltending is a problem, but the way that they see the way Blake built this team, as they will be powerful not just now, but definitely for the future as well. So the Kings have allegedly set themselves up for the long term. Besides, I would also add that the Kings minor league system is not barren. Martin Chromiak, a former 5th-round pick, scored twice in a 5-on-5 scrimmage of Kings prospects that were held earlier this week. Chromiak is going to start the season in Ontario. Nobody's talking about him cracking the NHL lineup. But if you recall, over the last couple of seasons, the Kings would bounce their prospects up from Ontario to LA back and forth, give them like these 10-day auditions. Don't be surprised if Chromiak is that guy next year. CBS, they're filling up their NFL offseason coverage with any article or list that they can do to kind of keep people thinking about football. The latest dopey list that they've come up with, players that teams will rely on way too much. For the Rams, it's Aaron Donald. Thank you, guys. That was so worth knowing. The Rams are going to rely on Aaron Donald too much. Who would have thought that the Rams, who completely obliterated their defense, I should say, except for Aaron Donald, would now rely on Aaron Donald too much? I never would have thunk it. Never would have thunk that a team that basically ripped away as many as 8 starters from the defense would now rely on Aaron Donald too much. Well done, CBS. Give them a golf clap. But I will add something a little bit more positive. The Athletic, they are wagering that wide receiver Tutu Atwell is the breakout candidate for next year. Breakout candidate. Here's the thinking. If he can stay on the field, he stretches the field by going deep. He would be their primary deep threat. And in turn, having somebody pushing the safeties back to cover him on a deep route opens everything else up underneath for Cooper Kupp, for Van Jefferson, etc. Now, the Athletic also picked a breakout candidate for the Chargers. That would be guard Zion Johnson. And the reason for that is they will be moving him back to his natural position, which is left guard. There's an opening there. The Chargers cut Matt Filer at the end of the season. So now the pathway for Zion to really fully develop is open. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about LeBron James coming back. Talk to me about whether or not USC really does have such great prospects in basketball. And if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.